Welcome to Living Your Path. I am Cecile Ferry, a coach and astrologer. I'm here to guide you on how to live and work in alignment with your true self so you can find fulfillment and serenity. Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome to your Cosmic Catch-Up for week commencing the 6th of April. So just a little note ahead of time is that this podcast and the following couple of weeks are being pre-recorded because I'm getting on a plane tomorrow, your time when you're listening to that, on the Tuesday, and I'm going over to France for a family occasion, a special celebration. So I don't want you to be in the lurch, especially it's a busy month. So don't worry, I will still be posting weekly episodes with an update, and this is the first one for this week. First of all, let me ask you, how was the full moon in Libra? So as I'm recording this, we're about 2 hours away from it. For me, nothing has happened yet, but it always comes. I call it my full moon gift or my new moon gift. So hopefully for you, it didn't create too much transformation and upset in your relationship. But if it did, it's for the greater cause. And I hope that you've been able to navigate whatever came up for you, whatever came to light late last week. Okay, so this week we are post-Easter, second week of April. And when I looked at the transit, it looks like there's actually not much. As in, there's not much new things to talk about. Mind you, there is one thing, and it's an important one that I'll talk about, but that's about it. But don't let that fool you thinking that we are in a quiet period astrologically. We're not. We are right at the beginning of the astrological year, and there are a lot of planets in Aries, and they are going to be more and more as the month rolls on. So things are going to step on each and every single week. And I think the middle week, the week after, will be quite the big one. Okay. So what I'm talking about, the main event this week, is that the planet Mars will move into Aries. It's currently in Pisces. It takes about 5 weeks in a sign, and Mars is at home in Aries. It rules Aries, so we are going to feel the shift. And that is happening on Thursday, the 9th of April, quite late in the US and in Europe. And for Australia, it will be felt from the Friday, the 10th. So especially if you've got a lot of Aries in your chart, if you are born during Aries season, you will really feel that. But I think collectively we'll all feel it because Mars is going to add more Aries energy to already a group of planets. But Mars is full on Aries itself. So it's like we're getting a mega shot of Aries energy. And I will say this, because I'm not one to shy away. I don't often hear comment about what those transits mean collectively. That is not my specialty. If you like that, Pam Gregory is amazing. But obviously we know there has been a war in the last couple of weeks in the Middle East. There's war in different parts of the world. And having more Aries energy absolutely carries the risk of more war. Like, I'm just gonna say it because I feel like no astrologer dares saying it and just focuses on kind of the nicer side or the positive side of it. And who would I be if I think I was just being a little blind with you and just focusing on the side that I'm comfortable with? So I will say it as well, like there is a risk for more war energy, or war in your life and war with people. Okay, so be really mindful as you are entering the next couple of weeks and from Friday this week that potentially the yang energy, Mars has so much drive and power. If it's not directed the right way, if it's not handled and channeled correctly, it can be destructive. Let's be honest about that. But let's talk about the opportunity for you in your life. It is going to add so much energy to what has already been building up over the last couple of weeks. So just to recap, from February the 20th this year, we had this big conjunction Saturn-Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries. I keep getting back to that because that is the story of this year, really. And it started then, and it started to build. Something just started to emerge, something that you've already been thinking about and had a bit of practice into last year, okay? And if you want to be more specific, if you have your birth chart, look where 0 degrees of Aries falls. That house is where this new seed, this new beginning is taking place. And I keep getting back to it because it is such a huge part of the narrative this year. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, book yourself for a birth chart reading when I'm back from May onwards. We had that conjunction. And then in the last couple of weeks, the sun has gone through that same conjunction and has highlighted it even more. If you like, we've been able to see even more what that new thing that we're building is. And now we have Mars arriving on Friday. And you guessed it, Mars is going to bring the energy to activate it. So it's no longer going to be about, I can see it, I can feel it, I want it, I'm committing to it. But now it's, let's do something about it. So it's like the turbo is being added to it. And you will probably feel some degree of urgency to move from like this week and on the weekend. And that will continue. Because we have Mars, Neptune and Saturn together pretty close. That is a lot of energy. But the thing is, Mars and Saturn together is a little bit polar opposite because Mars is going, let's go, and can really go very quickly. It's so determined. It's let's go for it without really thinking of the consequences. Whilst Saturn is saying, hey, slow down. Have you made sure you are ready? Have you got all your ducks in a row? Have you got some structure? Are you ready? Have you been like taking responsibility before you do all those things? So just watch because you will feel that from Friday onwards, that kind of duality where you are thinking it's go time and I want to do those things, and you should act on those things. But you need to have a mature reflection about those things just before you get started. And just to add something in the mix, there is Neptune in the middle as well. So Neptune can both infuse you with the inspiration, and I will say the spiritual inspiration for it, and the vision and the dreamy part of it. And we need that. It's great with motivation. But also it could potentially still infuse a sense of confusion, and sometimes confusion that we use to not move forward. So tune in, because if you're like more in the confusion side of things, if really you're swimming more in the fog, then don't take the action because you don't know what you're really doing. And so just wait until Mars is past Neptune. But maybe you will have some clarity already and you have the action. You don't need to have perfect clarity, and it won't be there. It won't be. It cannot be with Neptune there. But as long as you have enough clarity and you know what you're working on, and I feel like if you've been following the podcast and thinking about all those themes since last year, you do have the clarity. You know what you're building. You know what you're working on. So you can get started and use the spiritual side of Neptune to move forward. So my tips from Friday going forward is to follow your inspiration, your inner truth, your dream. Like really tune into your intuition and use that Neptune as a compass. And then use Saturn to be really mindful, to be methodical, to make sure you've checked everything, you have got a plan, you've got a strategy, you're not just like pressing down the pedal and going full speed in one direction without really knowing what steps you are going to go through. So do that, use the vision, the intuition, add the structure, and then go. With Mars, it's the impetus, the forward movement, and those three things together are very solid, give you a perfect foundation to move forward. So that's what will start happening. In the meantime, as a reminder, Venus is still in Taurus, so I hope you felt the shift since last week. And remember, this is about pleasure via the senses. It's about self-love. It's about comfort. So really good time for beauty routines, for self-care, for massages, and also for feeling really good in your home. And also to maybe put a little bit of order in your finances. And finally, we do have Uranus. I just want to mention it because it will move signs at the end of April. That's the next really big shift that we will feel. So right now, it is sitting at the very last degree of Taurus. And it has been in Taurus for 7 years. So it's a very long time. I actually reflected back to myself and my life because it transited my 6th house, which is the house of daily habits and routine and health and the body. And oh my God, didn't I feel that transit for the last 7 years? So many things have been disrupted quite unexpectedly as well, especially with my health, but also my routine. So I made like pretty swift changes. For examples, I moved from 3 days to 4 days in my corporate job, and then I moved into my career break towards the end of that transit. I've had a lot of health changes. I have changed my diet quite significantly at different times during that transit. For instance, I completely went off gluten. And these were not things I even thought about ahead of time. They just happened. And, also I had some health issue happening to me as well. Like, it's not just because you have Uranus in that house that they happen, but for me, I really felt a very deep process of transformation that just kept coming with those unexpected things. And to be honest, I was quite happy for it to be moving on into my next house. But this is just to show you how astrology really relates to our life, and that if you look back in hindsight, you can see how it manifested. This podcast tells you the flavor, the kind of energy we're having. How it's going to translate directly in your life, I can't tell, but you will be able to spot it when it happens, and then you understand what it is, and that's why it helps you navigate it, especially when it's a little challenging like that. Best to know why you're dealing with all of those things. So Uranus is at the end of Taurus, 29 degrees. And so traditionally in astrology, we say that that last degree carries a lot of urgency and pressure because, if you like, it's the last opportunity, the last couple of weeks for Uranus in Taurus to give us its lessons. So it has to do with finances. It has to do with stability, finding security. But it depends where it is in your chart. As I said, for me, it's 6th house. But so if you can go and locate 29 degrees Taurus, you can see where it's finishing its job and where you might be getting very last minute but important lessons before we move into Gemini, which will be the first episode when I'm back from my trip. Okay. And globally, that also means still some instability, like especially earthquake. Uranus is very much that, or disruption to the banking financial systems. So if you see changes in your income or finances in your world, this might still be Uranus at play for you. Okay. So that is all for this week. I am going to wish you a good transition to that increase of Aries energy, of yang, power, drive, determination, all those beautiful tools. But let's hope we all remain very civil with each other and we don't act out of impulse, anger, competition, all those things that are the shadow side of Aries, and that we can channel that to what serves us, what is aligned with our inner truth and intuition, and then we can move forward. So you will feel things are going to ramp up by the end of this week, and then the week after will be speeding up even more. So take care, everyone. Have a great week, and I will speak to you next week. Bye for now.